Rick Wollam.
Does the city have a decision on when they're going to provide their findings to this hearing? When are we going to hear from y'all?
The anticipation will be after the bids are received and the council is in the final decision-making process, and that would be the anticipated time.
And in what format will you provide
It
your
will be
findings?
provided in the form of a resolution.
Okay. Thank you. So, I've looked at the law, and let me tell you who I am first for those who don't know me. I'm the attorney who represented for free, pro bono, Rocky River Girls Ranch, whose property sits at the confluence of Dry Deer Creek and the Blanco River, where the discharge permit allows the affluent to enter the Blanco River. I also represented for free the Paradise Valley Property Owners Association, who is across the river from Rocky River Girls Ranch. I looked at the law, and this is more than just a opportunity for us to come and talk to you about how we feel about the taking of parkland. I'm here to tell you what I interpret the law to be under Chapter 26 as an attorney. I'm charging you with what I think the law charges you the obligation to do. And whenever we look at a statute, I like to cut out all the extra words that are not needed and focus on the ones that are and that apply to this. And what this law says, and it's very important, it's not trivial, this is not a rubber stamp time. Notice of taking. A municipality may not, that's not a shall or should, that is a command. You may not approve any project that requires the use or taking of public land used as a park unless two things happen. You have determined, you folks on the council have determined that there is no feasible, prudent alternative to the use or taking of that parkland. There are 5 out there that I'm aware of that you need to consider. They are reasonable and they are prudent, and they do not require the taking of blue hole land. They also prevent the expansion of a wastewater treatment plant in the crown jewel of this community. It also allows downtown Wimberley to solve its wastewater treatment problem by allowing Aqua Texas to manage that problem with land application of the affluent. Science tells us, we all know this, the best thing for our Cypress Creek, the best thing for our Blanco River is land application of affluent, not super treatment and direct discharge. The permit that the city has sought is direct discharge of treated effluent into the Blanco River. That is not as good environmentally for our waterways as applying it to the land which Aqua Texas does. The second thing that this...
Eric, you're 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
Can you give me some more, please?
How much would you like?
Double this, because I had to ask when we were going to hear what your findings would be.
You can use my 2 minutes.
I'll go a minute.
Based on Mr. Wollam being counsel for a couple of the concerned parties, I think, Mr. Mayor, we should pay him the respect to let him finish his statement.
Proceed, Eric.
Thank you. The second prong of this law that goes beyond you determining that there's no other prudent alternative is if you're going to take that land, that 1 point whatever acres, you have to make sure that you are doing everything to minimize the harm to that land. And as Mr. Jaggers pointed out, the negotiated settlement agreement requires the city to bind itself forever in every which way it can legally to never expanding that plant beyond 75,000 gallons. And the first draft of what we've seen has an out clause that doesn't comply with our settlement agreement, and it doesn't comply with Chapter 26, which requires all reasonable planning to minimize harm. The effort to create an expanded wastewater treatment plant in Blue Hole should end here. Chapter 26 does not allow you to take parkland when you have reasonably prudent alternatives. You do, and you should follow them. I'm going to step back and finish with one thought. I feel strongly about this. From 10,000 feet, the application the city has sought to create an expanded plant that allows direct discharge into our waterways is not environmentally sound, no matter how much you treat that effluent, and no matter how much you say it's never ever going to happen, and if it happens, it'll happen only every once in a while, I promise. The problem here that I've always seen is that when the city of Wimberley, which should be at the forefront of protecting waterways in Central Texas, when it creates a precedent that allows others to look to Wimberley and say they got a direct discharge permit, I want one too. We lose all credibility as a community for protecting what is most dear to us. The city has no obligation to continue on the path of pursuing the building of that plant just because they got a permit. You can abandon it, and you should abandon it, because when you do, you can go back to the clean hands position of not having direct discharge and looking to others that will come behind you seeking the same thing and saying, that is a bad idea. Please don't do this. Please reconsider. Please protect the park, and when you're at it, you're going to be protecting our waterways. Thank you. Thank you for the extra time.
Thank you, Mr. Wollam.